Hi y'all, welcome back to my shop. Got a fun little fast project for you today. We're going to make this nifty little business card holder. So let's get started. But before we do, I just want to thank all y'all viewers and subscribers, especially you subscribers. I've crossed over the 6,000 mark, and I'm just real excited about that. So let's go ahead and get started with this. And I'll show you a close-up of this shortly. In case I forgot to mention, this idea for this project comes from John Lucas, a very creative wood turner and wood turning demonstrator from Tennessee. And thanks, John, for giving me permission to take your idea and make a video with it. Okay, while we're cutting blanks for these, let's go ahead and cut two of them, because it's about as easy to cut two as one and make two of these. You're going to start with a board about 8 inches across and about 4.5 inches thick. And let me show you a little trick I learned from friend of mine at Gwinnett Woodworkers, Ted Baldwin. He has all these little different, I guess you call them wooden feeler gauges of different sizes. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to mark a 3/4 inch strip. We're going to cut on the bandsaw, and then we're going to cut two circular discs out of this 3/4 inch cherry. And I found this jar of Mahoney's finish, wax finish, which gives me just about the right size. We're going to cut these two circles on the bandsaw after I draw them out. I'm not sure if I said, but we cut these circles about 3 5/8 inch. So the finished size is going to be about 3.5 inches, the length of a business card. Now to figure out where to draw the hole, you can use a compass or something else, but the technique I used, I had this little round template, and I simply just centered this on there, so I've got a uniform amount on each side, and then I mark the hole. I go ahead and calibrate the drill press so it'll drill a hole no more than a shade over 1/2 inch. Okay, now we're going to mount this on a woodworm screw. I drill that hole 5/16 of an inch to accommodate the woodworm screw on my Supernova 2. Alright, pull it out, tighten both sides. As always, I like to use just a bit of paraffin. We'll put this washer in, so this won't extend past the depth of the hole that I drilled. Okay, I'm going to turn this up to pretty good speed. I'm going to use a small bowl gouge, about 10 o'clock, flute pointing toward 10 o'clock. Face this off. Change the orientation. We're just going to turn this around. Now I'm simply going to round over this edge. Soften it up some. got to do is sand that and decorate it a little bit. So I'm going to use a little off camera. I'm going to sand this and we'll come back and put some decorative rings on it. Okay, now that we've got it all sanded smooth up to about 320 grit, we're going to put a little decoration on there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little ring, little V-groove right about there. And then we're going to put another one right about here. And then another one maybe right about here. And then we're going to texture that band right there in the middle. So let's do the texturing first. Just put a little bit of a spiral there. And we're going to turn the speed down to about 500. Anchor. Whoop, wrong place. And now we've got a nice little decorative spiral. Mark exactly, okay, right there on that line. Put a V-groove there. Put a V-groove there. And that gives us just a bit of a decoration. Now we're going to go ahead and take this off. Go ahead and take this chuck off. Take off the woodworm screw. Now we're going to just use a jam chuck to put that against. I've got this jam chuck that's threaded with a glue block on it. We're going to use that to simply put this up against. And I'm going to use the cone center, lathe center. And that's how we'll center this up. This other tool rest where I can get it in a little closer. Now all we're going to do is just kind of profile the back from about here. And just a little bit of that'll probably be the widest area that'll step up, and then we'll just bring it on back, taper it off, and maybe we'll put a bead, large bead somewhere along here. So, using a 3/8 inch bowl gouge, I'm going to start that taper right here where the bead's going to come. Just do pull cut. And I think that's looking pretty good. Now all we gotta do is sand it. So we're gonna go off camera to sand it. Okay, I've taken it off the lathe. With the grain running this direction, I've put a piece of tape parallel with the grain where the edge of the tape is just a shade over 5/8 of an inch from the center of the hole to the edge of the tape. And then I've got this block of 3/4 inch plywood here that I'm going to lean this up against, and then I'm simply going to cut straight across. So let's get started. angle of that cut with the face of this down and the hole to the back. So that's going to give me an angle about like this, and then I'll be able to glue this like that, do any final sanding. Now before I do the glue up, I'm going to take this bottom and get it flat. I could do this on a belt sander, but there's not a lot of sanding to it, so if you got sandpaper on a flat board, this works real good for truing up the surface. It wouldn't hurt to do the same thing on the bottom, because that's where you're going to sign your name. Now we've got a surface that's flatter, and we'll take that glue, and we're just going to bring it up. And now the trick's going to be how to hold this in position, and I think we can clamp that. Okay, this is probably the easiest way to chuck up the little 3/4 inch piece we're going to use for the spindle on the back. I put it down inside my normal jaws, fitting flush against the glides, with the sharp end between each corner. And with tailstock support, this ought to do fine. Alright, now we're going to mark about 3/8 of an inch, less than 3/8 of an inch depth for a tenon we're going to use to go into the 5/16 inch hole. We're going to set this at 5/16. Slow the lathe down a bit while we take it down. And that's got it. We're just gonna kiss the bottom corner off a little bit. And we're going to just detail gouge and just square this up just a little bit. And then I'm going to chamfer this in just slightly. Alright, let's see how that fits. Tight. I think I'm just going to touch that up with just a bit of sandpaper with a glue surface. Okay. Now we're going to make this, the total piece is going to be about 1.5 inches, but the actual turned part of it beyond the tenon is only 1.25 inches, so let's go ahead and mark that. That's going to be the end of the tenon. Now I'm going to make a knob right about there. Make a bit of a wider base there. And we'll kind of see how it goes. I think I'm going to go ahead and bring up tailstock support just to give it a little support. Okay. Let's start with the tailstock support. Get this in a little bit closer. Remove a little bit of waste with this, and then we'll finish parting it off with probably a skew chisel. Alright, we're going to use this little small, tiny little skew. Got to slice away. This is a spindle. We have to slice those fibers so there's not any tear out. Okay. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed, click the subscribe button.